You open your eyes. For a moment, everything feels normal. Another morning. Another ordinary day. But something feels different. Something feels wrong. The silence around you is unlike anything you've ever experienced. You look around your room. Everything is exactly where you left it. The same walls, the same objects, the same familiar place. But the world outside feels strangely quiet. You grab your phone. The time is correct. The battery is full. Everything seems normal. Except there are no notifications, no messages, no calls, no alerts. Nobody is trying to contact you. You walk toward the window. The city should already be alive. People should be rushing to work. Cars should be moving through the streets. But today, everything has stopped. At first, you try to find a simple explanation. Maybe it's a holiday. Maybe everyone is staying home. Maybe there is nothing to worry about. You turn on the television. The screen lights up, but there is no live broadcast. No morning shows, no breaking news. Only old recordings remain. The last news reports. The final moments before everything changed. You open your computer and search for answers. But the internet is frozen in time. The last posts, the last messages, the final signs of humanity. And then one question appears in your mind. Where did everyone go? You leave your home and step into the streets, hoping to find an answer. Maybe people are hiding. Maybe there is an explanation. But with every step you take, the truth becomes harder to ignore. The city is completely silent. Cars are abandoned in the middle of the road. Doors are left open. Stores are still full of everything people needed. But there is no one left to buy anything. You enter a hospital, searching for clues. The lights are still on. The machines are still running. But the voices of doctors and patients are gone. It feels like the world disappeared in the middle of a normal day. Then, you begin noticing the small details, the things people left behind. A cup of coffee that was never finished. A family photo sitting on a forgotten table. A computer showing the last message someone ever sent. Every object tells a story. Every empty room holds a memory. Then, inside an abandoned building, you find something unusual. An old recording device sitting on a dusty desk. You press the play button. A voice begins to speak. If you are hearing this, it's probably already too late. The recording ends. And for the first time, you ask yourself the question you were trying to avoid. Am I the last human left on Earth? You keep searching for answers, and slowly, you begin to discover what happened. The world did not disappear in a single moment. It happened slowly. First, the cities started to change. Streets that were once filled with millions of people became empty. The sound of traffic disappeared. The lights inside buildings started going dark. People searched for a way to survive. Families left their homes. Governments created emergency plans. Scientists worked day and night, looking for answers. But whatever happened, humanity was running out of time. Some believed it was a disease. Others believed it was a global catastrophe. Some thought humanity had created its own downfall. The truth was lost with everyone who disappeared now. All that remains are pieces of a forgotten world. Empty streets, abandoned homes, memories left behind by billions of people. The disaster is no longer the story. The real story is the world that survived after humanity was gone. Days turn into weeks, and slowly the world begins to change. The electricity starts to disappear. One city after another falls into darkness. The lights that once represented human civilization begin to fade away. Nature starts returning. Trees grow through empty streets. Animals walk through places that once belonged to millions of people. The world is healing. But you are still alone. You have food, you have shelter, you have everything you need to survive. But survival was never the hardest part. The hardest part is the silence. No voices, no conversations, no one waiting for you anywhere. You start talking to yourself, just to hear a human voice. You walk through cities built by billions of people, but there is nobody left to share them with. And then you finally understand. Being human is not only about staying alive. It is about being remembered. For a while, survival is enough. Find food, find water, stay alive. Repeat, every sunrise feels the same. Every sunset feels even quieter. At first, staying alive feels like a victory, but eventually, a question begins to haunt you. What's the point of surviving if there's no one left to remember what was lost? That question follows you into an abandoned library. Nature has already begun reclaiming the building. Vines crawl through broken windows. Dust hangs in the sunlight. Yet inside, humanity is still alive. Millions of words, thousands of stories, generations of dreams waiting silently on forgotten shelves. Standing there, one terrifying truth becomes impossible to ignore. If you disappear, every story disappears with you. No one will remember the music, the laughter, the discoveries, the mistakes. No one will even know humanity ever existed. That's the moment everything changes. Survival is no longer your mission. Preservation is. Every abandoned house becomes a time capsule. Family photographs, wedding albums, handwritten letters, children's drawings still hanging on bedroom walls. Tiny pieces of ordinary lives that suddenly become priceless. Day after day, you gather everything worth saving. Books, maps, journals, old recordings. Anything that proves billions of people once called this planet home. An empty building slowly transforms into humanity's final archive. Every shelf tells another story. Every photograph gives another forgotten face a second chance to be remembered. Each night ends the same way. A recorder clicks on. Your voice fills the silence. You speak about the cities, the oceans, the inventions, the failures, the wars, the kindness that somehow survived them all. Because humanity was never perfect. But it was real, and real things deserve to be remembered. Maybe no one will ever discover this place. Maybe these memories will remain buried forever. But if someone, time no longer has meaning. Days become weeks. Weeks become years. Silence becomes normal. Every night follows the same routine. An old military radio. A slow turn of the frequency dial. Static. Nothing but static. Still, you keep listening, Not because you expect an answer, but because hope is difficult to let go. Then, a faint crackle. You stop breathing. Another sound, and suddenly, a voice. "Can anybody hear me?" Your heart pounds. For years, you've heard nothing but your own footsteps. Now, someone else is out there. Shaking hands reach for the microphone. You whisper, "Yes, I can hear you." Silence. A few endless seconds pass. Then the speaker comes alive again. "I knew someone had to survive." Everything changes. The loneliness, the fear, the feeling that you were the last person alive. Somewhere beyond the empty cities, another survivor is listening to the same sky. Names don't matter. Distance doesn't matter. Only one thing matters. The silence is finally broken. For the first time in years, tomorrow feels different. Hope isn't gone. It was simply waiting to be found. For so long, the end of humanity looked inevitable, not because the world had disappeared, but because everyone in it had. Empty cities, silent highways, homes waiting for families that would never return. It was easy to believe this was the final chapter, the last page, the last heartbeat. But endings have a strange way of disguising themselves. Sometimes they look exactly like beginnings. One voice changed everything, not because it saved the world overnight, but because it proved something extraordinary. You were never carrying humanity alone. Somewhere beyond the endless forests, beyond the abandoned cities, beyond the silent oceans, someone else survived. One person, one heartbeat, one reason to keep moving forward. Suddenly, the future doesn't feel impossible anymore. The ruined streets no longer look like monuments to failure. They look like foundations, waiting for something new. Maybe the great cities will never rise again. Maybe the skyscrapers will slowly become forests. Maybe nature will erase every road, every building, and every trace of the world that once existed. And maybe that's exactly how a new chapter begins. Because humanity was never just concrete and steel. It was never the tallest buildings or the fastest machines. Humanity has always been something far more powerful. The decision to stand back up, the courage to trust another person, the determination to keep walking, even when the destination is unknown. As the sun rises over a quieter earth, your backpack feels lighter than it has in years, not because it carries fewer memories, but because you're no longer carrying them alone. The road ahead is still uncertain. The future is still unwritten. But for the first time, that uncertainty feels beautiful. Every step becomes a promise. Every sunrise becomes another chance. Every heartbeat becomes proof that humanity is still alive. Because sometimes, the future of an entire civilization doesn't depend on millions of people. It depends on the hope of a single survivor.